So I wanted to go over your test on chapter 9. So the first section, whoops. Okay, the first section is going to be listening. You're going to listen to the following conversation between a Peruvian student and it's from the United States. Then you're going to select the option that best answers each of the questions. Okay, so my advice is before you get started, just read through the questions so you know what you're listening for. Then you've got your vocabulario in context. El clima de Lima. Fred just met Carolina, a Peruvian student from Lima, at the school cafeteria. He did not know what to talk about, so he decided to ask her about the weather. What words did they use? Fill in the blanks with the correct words from the word bank. So there's your vocabulary, weather vocabulary. You're just going to complete the sentence with the correct weather vocabulary. Gramática en contexto. This is similar to something we've done in class, just you're comparing two different cities. Dos ciudades grandes, or dos grandes ciudades. While you were living in New York City, you met a student from Mexico. You compared these two cities and noted the following similarities. Can you fill in the blanks with the right words to express the similarity? So there you're seeing how big they are, what their climate is, how many universities they have, some of their problems, how many people live there, and you're basically going to fill in the blank with you're making comparisons. You're going to be doing that with más, menos, tanto, como, etc. Fred is preparing for a guessing game about important Latin American cities. Complete his statements with the correct pronouns. This is what we talked about in class today. So decide whether you can just use K or if you need a form of NK or one other relative pronoun. So remember that when we use NK, it's got to go with the article. So when you see something like low K, that's not correct because that's using a direct object, not an article. So sometimes in which could be replaced with where. So pay attention to that page in the back of your book. So some of your in el que or en la que, you could substitute where. And I'll show you that again in a minute. Las mejores ciudades para vivir. You're going to read this following paragraph, or I'm sorry, excerpt, whatever you want to call it, and then answer the following questions. You can answer those in English. I'm just trying to get that you understood what you read. Writing, I've got two sets of sentences you're going to write using comparatives and or superlatives. In chapter 9 vocabulary, write 3 sentences in which you compare your hometown to that of High Point. So we've done a couple of those things in class. You can compare the size, you can compare the weather, whatever you want, whatever comparison you want to make. Here, you're going to write 3 sentences using expressions. I need to fix that. There's a typo. Actually, it'll be messed up on the test. Using opinion expressions from chapter 9 to tell me what you think a city should have or not have to make it a great place to live. And that's where you use me parece que, pienso que, creo que, or you could use es fundamental, es importantísimo. So just use your opinion expressions to tell me what you think a city should have. And lastly, there are a few questions about Peru based on the videos that we watched at the beginning of the chapter. So just make sure you study your video chapter answers. And if you guys sent them to me, I sent back to you corrected answers. So make sure you study the ones that I sent to you versus the ones that that you guys had. So does anyone have any questions?